Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will be talking about opening a bank account in Canada as an immigrant or a newcomer or international student. In this video, I will be sharing a few tips you need to know, as well as comparing a few packages from the major banks in Canada, and I will hopefully provide you with some information on how to go about opening a bank account and which bank you should choose. So please stay tuned. First thing you should know is that most major banks in Canada have a newcomer program. So if you're new to Canada, that is something you should look into. So the major banks in Canada include RBC, TD, Scotia Bank, CIBC, BMO, etc. All these banks have newcomer programs, and I'm going to compare 3 of the newcomer programs. I have my phone in here, so let us look for what they offer. I'm on the RBC website on my phone, and let's look at the reasons RBC says newcomers should bank with them. They say with RBC, you're able to get your first Canadian bank account and a credit card. You can bank anytime, anywhere with our award-winning mobile app. It is Canada's largest bank, and you can receive help in up to 200 languages by phone or in the branch. They currently have a limited time offer. You will get $100 cash when you open an RBC No Limit Bank account. When you open your first bank account with RBC as a newcomer, you will have no monthly fees for 12 months. If you're an international student, you will get $60 in cash when you open an RBC student bank account and no monthly fees for 12 months. Your high interest savings account will earn 2.5% interest, and you can send 2 no-fee international money transfers per month for 6 months. And you will also get your first Canadian credit card with no credit history, as well as $2,500 in RBC rewards points when you're approved for a personal, a student visa rewards card with RBC. Banked with RBC for 9 years, and although I've also banked with TD and a few other banks, which I will talk about later on, I do think RBC is a wonderful bank. Like they mentioned, they have multi-language support. I love their app. You're able to deposit checks and do a lot of online banking using the app as well. Most importantly, they also have wonderful customer service. RBC also has ATMs and branches across the country, so you'll never have to go super far, depending on if you live in a major city or even a small town, without finding an RBC ATM or branch location. So if you value things like convenience, functionality, customer support, and technology, RBC may be the bank for you. However, let us compare RBC with TD in terms of their newcomer package. Maybe you're wondering, how does TD compare? TD is also a large bank in Canada, and according to their website, TD has an unlimited checking account, which is convenient for day-to-day banking. Customers to Canada can get a special offer of no monthly fees for 6 months and $150 when they open a new account. They also get unlimited transactions, no fees for any ATMs in Canada, and free money transfers with Interac e-transfer. It's important to say that in terms of free transfers, most RBC personal accounts also have free e-transfers. TD says that the $150 deposit applies when you open an unlimited checking account, and also if you set up either direct deposit, pre-authorized debit for at least $50, or an online bill payment for at least $50 using the TD website or the TD app. To be eligible for the TD newcomer program, you have to be a permanent resident or temporary resident for 5 years or less. You have to provide proof of status as a permanent resident or temporary permit holder. You have never opened up a TD account before and are the age of majority in your province. So TD has wonderful services as well. I also have a TD account for my business banking, and I have no issues with TD. Their customer service is wonderful. I do prefer the RBC website and the RBC app, but that's just a personal preference. The TD website and the TD app are completely fine and completely functional as well. So I think you can't go wrong with TD. You basically have to choose what offer stands out to you. The next bank I'll feature is Scotia Bank. Scotia Bank has a page where they say, what can we do for newcomers? And Scotia Bank has a Start Right program, which can help you start banking in Canada by providing you access to credit, savings, and help from financial advisors. Scotia Bank says their program has no monthly account fees on the preferred package for a year, which is a value of $191. Unlimited e-transfers and transactions. It seems like all 3 banks offer that. a free small safety deposit box for a year, a value of $55. That's pretty cool. No other bank we've talked about so far has that. They have credit cards designed for newcomers, and you can get a new vehicle loan with only 10% down. And for most of the banks, the documentation you need when you're trying to open up a bank account is your work permit or immigration documents, a piece of government ID such as your passport or your driver's license and things like that. And if you're trying to open up a credit card, for instance with Scotia, they need a letter from your employer in Canada, which will state your annual income. So those are the three banks compared. Like I said, most of the top 5 banks in Canada have pretty comparable programs for newcomers. It's up to you. It's up to you what bank you go with, which meets your needs, what's more available in your city in terms of location, and if you have specific desires. It's best that you compare and contrast all of them. And I mentioned also the documentation you need. Typically, you can walk into any bank, open up a bank account if you have the documentation, and they will send you paperwork later confirming your account details have been opened in the mail in a week or 2. Earlier as well, RBC is the largest and has banks and ATMs across Canada. So if you like the convenience, that may be something you should go with. Something else I didn't mention is that Canada also has banks that don't have physical locations. So you're basically doing all your banking online. With RBC, although they're everywhere in the country, you do pay a bit higher fees in the long term. A bank like Tangerine, which is online, has very low fees, but you have to be comfortable with doing a lot of your banking online. Although they do give you a bank card which allows you to use ATMs to do transactions. Most of your transactions will be online, and if you have questions about your banking, you can do a live chat function. Tangerine is a wonderful bank. I also have an account with Tangerine because of the low fees. So if you're interested in Tangerine, I encourage you to look into the option as well. With a bank like Tangerine or Simply, you're paying low fees. You don't have a physical location, but many of their savings accounts also give you better interest rates as well. For people who are into investing, they see Tangerine as a good alternative as well due to their low fees, high interest rate structure. I think for many new immigrants, what I've seen is that immigrants tend to start with a traditional bank that has a brick and mortar location. And in the long term, once they've gotten settled into Canada and understand how the system works, they tend to go into alternatives such as Tangerine or Simply. Use RBC, TD, and Tangerine, and honestly, their services are all pretty comparable. The only difference is Tangerine does not have a physical location, so if you have a question, you can't just go to the bank or pick up the phone. For the most part, you have to think of alternatives, but that's not an issue for me. I do like that banks are now using the power of technology and revolutionizing the face of banking, so that may be an option. So let's see what Tangerine offers for newcomers to Canada. I'm not able to find any specific newcomer account for Tangerine, but I will give you information about their checking account. They have no unfair fees for daily transactions such as debit purchases, bill payments, pre-authorized purchases, etc. You have free access. They give you free ATM access, so that is, there are 3,500 Scotiabank's ATMs, as well as 44,000 globally through Scotiabank's Global ATM Alliance. You have overdraft protection, and you're able to track and categorize your spending, and you can get your first checkbook of 50 checks for free, which is pretty awesome because checks can be quite expensive in Canada. And in terms of fees, they say we will not pay any fees for your daily check-in transactions. Online daily banking is free. Tangerine email money transfers is free. Email transfers is free, as well as first 50 checkbooks are free as well. You have one free stop payment. Afterwards, it's $12.50. And that's pretty cheap because top payments are typically more than $12.50 in the big banks. They have a non-sufficient fund standard fee of $45 as well as free access to ATMs, which is pretty standard as well. So Tangerine is a wonderful option if you're looking for a non-traditional bank with very, very low fees. In terms of banks to avoid, this is my personal opinion, I would stay away from banks that are much smaller, like CIBC and BMO. This is not to attack anybody who banks with CIBC and BMO. I know they have many happy customers. However, just based on personal experience, they tend to not be as good in terms of technology, customer service, and things like that as compared to the big bank. compared to the big banks. I know that some people have good experiences, however, my experience, as well as the experience of many people I know who are immigrants, has not been positive. Something I didn't mention is that Canada also has things like credit unions, which many people find to be a more ethical way to bank because they're very community focused and ethical in terms of their investments. Don't have as many technological abilities as the big banks, but if you're concerned about your ethical footprint in terms of banking, credit unions may be an option for you, and I will include a link in the description box as well. If you're looking for more advice about life in Canada, I have a playlist filled with advice and tips about life in Canada, so please check that out, and thank you for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!